morning, and welcome to my breakfast cafe. Well, hey everybody. Decided to actually take the time and make a nice hot coffee this morning. Everything I wore yesterday is still soaking wet. I hung it out last night, and I think there might have been a little shower or something during the night, but yeah, it's all soaking wet. But that's fine. I've got stuff to hike in today. I'm good. A lot of condensation on the inside of my tent, which was kind of expected, but I'd rather deal with that than sleep in a shelter. Besides, the shelter over here was packed when I got here. About 13 miles today. There's another option if I want to go 20, but I don't know if that's going to happen today. But yeah, at least 13 miles. And then tomorrow, probably towards the afternoon, early afternoon, I'll be done with the Smokies. And I figured I was just going to resupply at Standing Bear Hostel, but I'll see what their prices are. Maybe I'll just spend the night. Get a shower and all that stuff, and maybe clean up some stuff. We'll see how dirty everything is. But that looks like that's going to be the plan. So, last full day in the Smokies. And then I can check that block. So that was my setup for this evening, or last evening. And way over in the distance is the shelter. Speaking of shelters, I think they have definitely got their pros and cons. Myself personally, I'm not a big fan of staying in those. I find them to be drafty. They can be noisy, especially if there's people in there with the thermarest pads moving around. And there's at least one rude person that they just care about themselves. So, when they get up, they're not very stealthy. The last couple of shelters that I stayed in, there were a few of the same people in both shelters. And some of them, when they get up in the morning, they must have thought they're in their own freaking kitchen and didn't know what a whisper was. It's pathetic. You need to respect everybody else and their wishes. Just because you're up doesn't mean that everybody else wants to get up too. The other thing I've noticed too, especially those shelters that are closer to population centers like the Fontana Hilton, I don't know if dude was had mental illness or was a junkie or what the deal was, but there was a guy basically living in the shelter. One of these shelters in the Smokies, there was a guy, the first one I stayed in the Smokies, there was a guy living in the shelter. And gee, he was a real freaking pleasure. So, like I said, they've got their good points and their bad points. When you've got the snow and torrential downpours and stuff like that, they're probably a good thing. Get you out of the elements. There's a fireplace. You can get a fire going. But some bad points too. And they're definitely something that's kind of unique. And with the frequency of the shelters, you could probably, at least from what I've seen so far, go from Springer Mountain to right here and never have to use a tent. Between shelters and getting off trail and going into a hostel and stuff like that, I think you could probably do it without a tent. Let me know if anybody's ever heard of somebody doing that. So some of you might be wondering, hey, wow, Greg is like clean shaven most of the time. By now, most thru hikers are, ratted out looking like Grizzly Adams. So what I packed out was, how people cut off the handles of their toothbrushes. I did it with a razor. And I used the Dr. Bronner's soap to lather up with, and actually works pretty well. I don't really have that heavy of a beard, so it works well. And then I also did a little crack baggie full of, this is a Duke Cannon's aftershave balm, which is alcohol free. So whenever I go into town, when I get cleaned up, I'll go ahead and shave. I look really pathetic with any sort of facial hair, as my family can attest to that. It looks bad. So maybe that'll be my shtick, is I'm going to end up, summoning Katahdin with a fresh face. And another thing, today is a sad day because last night I had my last Trail Magic VA meal. It was the Caribbean smoked chicken with dirty rice and cabbage. And boy, let me tell you, after, hiking during the day through all that rain and everything, this really hit the spot. Boy, was it good. But trying to hold back the tears now. I don't have any more. Always, excuse me, always scout around your campsite before you leave it. Only takes an additional moment or two, but it can save you a lot of pain and agony later if you left something behind and you had to go back and get it, because those bonus miles don't count. So I got a detailed weather report on my Garmin. It looks like we're going to be dealing with this until the latter part of the morning, and then it's supposed to be partly cloudy. And the clouds will really start to dissipate overnight. However, they're saying tomorrow morning, I think like 9-10 o'clock, 50% chance of rain. So it is imperative that I try and get as much of my gear dry as possible. I just thought that was really cool, the way the moss down at the bottom there is growing over like the little rock wall that they had built up. It's like some Hobbit looking stuff there. And just out of nowhere, these return. It's weird. Haven't seen them in miles and miles. Huh? Just out here in the middle of nowhere. Weird. Okay, hiking fans, made it to Crosby's Knob Shelter, or just for your penguin fans out there, Crosby is a knob shelter. Not that great of tent sites around here. Here, let me show you where I am. I'm up here. Everybody else is way down there. That's a shelter over there. So I'm freaking king of the hill. Was feeling really good today, and I was thinking about pushing on to the next shelter, which would have been a 20-mile day for me. And I could have done it. However, you see, I've got everything like out, trying to dry off. So I figured might as well stop at this one today, get everything dried out, rather than push, at least another 2.5 more hours of hiking, and then possibly not have the time to get everything dried out. Tomorrow, starting about, I think 7, it's like a 50% chance of rain. So it looks like we're going back into that as we leave the Smokies. Yay. So tomorrow, like 9-10 miles to Standing Bear Shelter. And I think I'm just going to do an overnight there, which I think I said earlier in the videos. Do an overnight, do a Paquito resupply, enough to get to Hot Springs. And there I'll do a more extensive resupply and probably, clean up, depending how much stuff I get done tomorrow at tomorrow at Standing Bear. Might stop in Hot Springs for a little bit and, do laundry, stuff like that. But this is it for the night. I think on the menu is my version of a shepherd's pie. And yeah, I think that's it. All right, folks. Hey, by the way, I appreciate all your comments that you put on the videos. I really do. Sometimes I've got time to respond to them, but like right now, there's no connectivity out here. But yes, I read them all, and thank you for your words of encouragement, and what you say and everything really means a lot to me. So thank you very much. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.